more talk about financial stuff. So I usually do this little thing at the beginning of our financial unit that we started a couple classes ago, where I do this little disclaimer that just talking about finances can be really stressful, even if you're not talking about your own finances. And I know that that's true. Like every time I teach this lesson, I go like, oh, why didn't I start saving when I was 20? You know, like, so just know that that's normal, and no one's going to ask you about your own personal finances here. And we're all in different financial places, and we're not judging, just trying to learn how it all works. Okay? All right, good. You're welcome. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. So today in particular is a stressful topic for me, credit card debt, right? So we're going to start talking about credit cards today. Today's our consumer debt class. We're talking about credit cards, and we're going to talk about loans that you would take out for a bigger purchase like a car or a house. Right. So credit cards can be a very useful financial tool, right? They allow a consumer to purchase an item now but pay for them later, which can be really, really handy. However, they have a dark side. They can generate a massive amount of debt if they're used without proper care. So here's the general gist of how they work. As long as you pay the balance due before the payment due date, everything you purchased is interest-free. So there's no finance charges. But if you carry a revolving balance, so you don't pay the full balance, but you just pay the minimum payment or something less than the full balance, you incur finance charges on the previous balance plus any new purchases made during that billing cycle. And your next statement balance is going to be your previous balance minus any payments you made, plus any new purchases you made, plus finance charges. And the finance charges are calculated in kind of this convoluted, messy way, but it's basically interest, right? Plus interest. Okay, so the finance charge is based off of two pieces of information, something called your average daily balance and the periodic interest rate. So the periodic interest rate is basically your daily interest rate. It takes your number of days in the month divided by 365 and multiplies by your APR. So whatever the card tells you your APR is, this is how it calculates your, actually this is a monthly interest rate. Days in the month over 365, monthly interest rate. All right, and then it calculates your average daily balance by taking the sum of all your daily balances. So it looks at your balance over each day for the 30 days or 31 days, adds them up and divides by the number of days. So that's your average daily balance. And then your finance charge is your periodic interest rate times your average daily balance. So it's messy. This is purposefully complicated, maybe, right? To make it really difficult for you to call them up and argue about what your finance charges should be, right? All right, so for example, let's suppose you have a credit card that has a 19.99% APR. Sounds really high? Not out of the question, right? I mean, I had a card that went up to 30% right before they enacted that bill where they can't change your rates. So 20% is not as crazy as it might seem. All right, so the billing cycle starts on the 20th of every month and ends on the 19th of every month. And suppose that so far you've been good about paying your balance in full each month, but now it's the end of November, you have to do some Christmas shopping, and between November 20th and December 19th, you put $1,000 on the credit card for gifts. But when the bill comes, you can only afford to pay $300. Otherwise, you won't be able to pay your rent or eat. So this means that you're going to carry forward a balance of $700 to the next billing cycle. So in the next billing cycle, between December 20th and January 19th, you make the following purchases. December 23rd, you do some last minute shopping. spend $134.76. January 1st, you buy Tylenol and Gatorade for $14.22. And then January 10th, you put some gas in your car, $43.57. All right, so let's calculate the periodic interest rate for the December 20th to January 19th billing cycle. All right, so periodic interest rate. Number of days in the month divided by 365 times your APR. So how many days are there from December 20th to January 19th? Inclusive, yeah. 30 days has December. 30 days has September. So December, okay. December has 31 days. So 20 to 31 is how many? Is 11. 20 to 31 is 11. And then 1 to 19 is 19. So 11 and 19 is 30 days, right? Honestly, sometimes this is the hardest part of the problem, trying to figure out how many days. Worst case scenario, just literally count. Go 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's 11 days. Oh, 31. There's 12 days. Because we didn't, because you have to count the 20th. I was thinking of that as P0. Yeah. Count it on your fingers. Ready? Start with December 20th, and you go the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. That's 12 days. And then 1 to 19 is 19. So 12 and 19 is 31 days this month. Okay, so 31 days. Your periodic interest rate is the number of days in the month. Periodic interest rate is the number of days in this month, which is 31, divided by 365, times your APR as a decimal. And our APR was 19.99%. So we multiply by 0.1999. So this is the periodic interest rate. It's basically your interest rate for the month, your monthly interest rate. So 31 divided by 365 times 0.1999. 0.0169778. This is one of those situations where you don't want to round until the end. So either write the whole thing down or store that number in your calculator. I might store this as the letter A on this calculator. I'm going to store this as the letter A. And then whenever I need that number, I can just use the letter A. So I press the STO button, and then you use the alpha key, and you can see that above all the keys, there are letters in green. And so you just do store alpha A, enter. So graphing calculators work like that. Some of the more common scientific calculators can do the same thing. When you press store, it just gives you a list of letters to choose from. If you want to learn how to do this on your particular calculator, I can show you later. All right, so I want to calculate the average daily balance from the 20th to the 19th. Okay, so on the very first day, so I'm going to make a little table to try to keep track, and I think I might not even have enough room here. So the very first day, December 20th, until I make another purchase, right? I had carried over $700 from the previous cycle, right? So my balance is $700 starting on December 20th, and it stays $700 until I make another purchase, which happened on the 23rd. Okay. So on the 23rd, my balance is going to change. So the 20th to the 22nd, it was $700. So I'll put $700 from the 20th to the 22nd. And then on December 23rd, I made another purchase of, what was it, $134.76. So I have to add that to my balance, right? My balance was 700, add that to my balance, and my balance is going to be $834.76 until I make another purchase, which is January 1st. Okay, so I haven't written it down yet. On December 23rd, I made a purchase, right? So my balance on my credit card is the 700 I had before, plus this new 134.76. And that will be my balance until I make another purchase. So this is going to be 834.76 until December 31st. That's my balance. And then on January 1st, I make another purchase, which means my balance is going to change. And my purchase was $14.22. So I have to add $14.22 to my previous balance. 834.76 plus 14.22. So my new balance is now 848.98. It's brand name Tylenol, yeah. I'm not breaking it into weeks. I'm breaking it into chunks of time that my balance was the same. So let me, can you guys stop, please, stop talking. Yeah, okay, so let me go back. We're trying to calculate something called the average daily balance, which means there were 31 days in the month. Each day of that month, my credit card balance was some number, right? So if I want an average, you take those 31 days, you add the balance from each day together and divide by 31.
Why do we have to break it down? Can't we just add all the numbers we have?
You can. I'm trying to save us some time. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So I could write out day 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 31.
Add everything together, 895, and then divide by 31.
No, because your balance wasn't 892.55 for the whole 31 days. Right. If your balance started at 892.51 and you made no purchases, you could just divide by 31 and that would be your average daily balance. Okay. But your balance is changing over the month. Okay, so we're at 848.98. And I stay there until January 10th, right, when I make another purchase, January 10th. So until January 9th, my balance is the same. Okay, and then January 10th, I bought gas and it was $43.57. Yeah, $43.57. So I got to add that to my balance. And I get $892.55. Okay, and that's the last thing that happens in my account, right? So my balance stays like that until the last day of the month, which is January 19th. All right, so now I would like to know what my average daily balance was. On an average day over this 31 days. Okay, so I have to know my balance on each of the 31 days, add them up and divide by 31. Right, so there's 31 days, so I got to divide by 31 to get an average. So the 20th to the 22nd, how many days is that? 20, 21, 22. Count on your fingers, right? Because the 20th can really throw you off, starting at P0, right? Yeah. So 3 days, my balance was $700. So I can do 700 plus 700 plus 700 for those 3 days. Or 3 times 700, right? Plus. Now, how many days from the 23rd to the 31st? (23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 9 days. And for those 9 days, my balance was $834.76. So you would add $834.76 together 9 times, once for each day that was your balance. Or you could just do 9 times $834.76. I know that this is very like convoluted. That's why they do it this way. All right, so then the 1st to the 9th, how many days is that? 9 days. So for another 9 days, this was my balance, $848.98. So we do 9 times $848.98. And then the 10th to the 19th, how many days is that? 10, yeah. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 10 days. So I have to do 10 times that balance, $892.55. All right, so let's put this all in the calculator and get a number. 3 times 700 plus 9 times 834.76 plus 9 times 848.98 plus 10 times 892.55. And I got to take that and divide by 31, and I get 844.48. Yeah, 49. So your credit card company says, on average, this was your daily, this is a balance, this is an average balance over the course of the month. From December 20th to January 19th. Yep. This is your average daily balance, 844.49. So it kind of makes sense, right? You started at 700 and you finished at 892.55. Your average daily balance should be somewhere in between there. All right, so come back here. It was 844.49, right? 49. I don't know why I wrote that. Thank you. I know. All right, so now we can calculate the finance charge. How much is the credit card company going to bill you for the fact that you carried over a balance and made new purchases? So your finance charge is just your periodic interest rate, which we already calculated, times your average daily balance, which we just calculated. So I'm going to do my periodic interest rate, 0.01697788082 times 844.49. And I'm going to use alpha A. That's my periodic interest rate. I stored it as the letter A. Times 844.49. And I get 1434. They're going to charge you $14.34 onto the 892. Yep. So your new balance that appears on the bill for the next billing cycle is that 892 number, right? That's your balance because your 700 plus your purchases got you 892.55. 892.55 plus your finance charges of 1434. 892.55 plus 1434 is $906.89. So that's the number that's going to show up on your next statement. We used that 19.99. when we got the periodic interest rate. Yeah, we used it there. Okay, so it's a long process, right? I want you to try one. So here's a whole bunch of information about some credit card stuff. Do the same thing we just did. All right, I think we should go through this together. All right, so I wrote a bunch of it on the board, right? I wrote down the balance in increments. Every time the balance changed, I wrote down what it was, right? So from the 26th to the 30th, the first day of the billing cycle, until the balance changed because a purchase was made, right? The balance was $5,000 because you carried $5,000 over. So until you make a purchase, your balance just stays $5,000. And then on August 31st, we made a purchase of $148.55, so you have to add that onto your balance. And that stays our balance until we make another purchase on the 12th. So it's the 31st to the 11th. On the 12th, we make a $30 purchase, you add that to the balance, and that stays your new balance until the 19th. So on the 19th, it changes, so your balance was the same until the 18th. And now here's where it gets a little bit tricky because we didn't have this in our previous problem. We have a payment. Okay, so we have a payment on the 22nd, which means that from the 19th to the 21st, our balance is $5,282.54. Okay, and then the balance changes. It gets reduced by $200 because you made a payment. Right, so 922 to 925, your balance is now $5,082.54. So these are your balances in increments. Every time you either made a purchase or a payment, your balance changes. And I just wrote the balances over here to reflect that. All right, so I'm going to skip the periodic interest rate for a second since I have been doing all this with the daily balances. I want to find the average daily balance. So I have to know how many days I was at each of these balances. So the 26th to the 30th, seriously count it on your fingers until you get used to this. So we have 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 5 days. 5 days times $5,000. Plus the 31st to the 11th is 12 days. 12 days times 5,148.55. So you multiply the number of days times the balance over those days. And then the 12th to the 18th, that's 6 days. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 7 days. 15, 16, 17, 18, 7 days. That's the danger of just subtracting, right? Count it on your fingers. I'm finding the average daily balance. Why did I write it up there? Sorry. 5 times 5,000 plus 12 times 5,148.55. And then we have 7 days, the 12th to the 18th, at 5,178.55. And then the 19th to the 21st, that's 3 days at 5,282.54. And then the 22nd to the 25th, the final 4 days of the billing cycle, our balance is 5,082.54, right? It went down because we made a payment. All right, and then we divide all this by 31 because there are 31 days total in this month. Okay. Okay, 5 times 5,000 plus 12 times 5,148.55 plus 5,178.55. Four times 5,082.54 divided by 31. So it comes out to a total of $5,136 and say 11 cents. Oh, okay, hold on. Apparently I made a typo. Where did I make a mistake?
On the 5 times 3 times 5,200.
Uh-huh. So 5,285 should be 5,282 divided by 31. 5,135.82. Okay, got it.
I did not get 82.
It was that number right there. I had typed a 5 instead of a 2.
It's supposed to be 5,100.
Nope, because the credit card company is never going to round down. Yeah, they round up on you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's our average daily balance. Let's calculate our periodic interest rate. It's the number of days in the month divided by 365 times the APR as a decimal, which is 0.2199. 31 over 365 times 0.2199, and I get 0.0186764384. Either write it all down or store that number so that you are accurate. So then we take that number and we multiply it times our average daily balance to get our interest charged. Sometimes it's called the interest, sometimes it's called the finance charge. 5,000. Finance charge is the same as interest charged. Yeah. So 5,135.82 times this 0.01867 comes out to $95.92. That is your interest charge or your finance charge. Yep, for that billing cycle. Yep. So you get charged nearly $100 in interest that month. So my new balance is going to be your old balance, right? Plus any purchases, minus any payments, plus interest. So we're going to have 5,082. That's where we left off. 82.54. Add interest or finance charges. $5,082. 4 plus 95.92. And our balance is going to be 5,178.46. So here's what's stressful about credit cards. You made a $200 payment, and then they charged you $95 in interest, right? You paid them $200 to try to bring your balance down, and then your balance went back up by $100, right, in interest. Yeah, so your payment is like half of your payment just cancels out your interest payment. Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say that. If you had not made that $200 payment, your interest charge would have been higher, right? And then your balance would be $200 higher because you didn't make a payment, plus a higher interest charge. So yeah, the $200 is definitely, you should definitely make a payment when you can.
like when your billing period starts, you should only make big charges at the end of the billing cycle.
Yeah, that would definitely work. Yeah. If you make your payment at the beginning, right, the more days that your balance is high, right, the higher your average daily balance. So if you make a payment at the beginning, it brings all of these balances down a little bit. Yeah.
There's not a way to like flawless, because I really feel like there's something you with the system a little bit, have it set up. 'Cause it needs to be very loose.
That's what it meant, so we just not use them.
Yeah, the best way to scam the credit card system is to pay your balance every month, right? In full.
But then you would need a credit card.
Nice. All right, so that's credit cards. That is the first kind of consumer debt that we're going to talk about. The other kind is an installment loan. Okay, so an installment loan is a type of loan that you would take out to finance the purchase of a big ticket item like a car or a house. First of all, you probably don't have a limit on your credit card that's high enough to let you purchase a car or a house, right? And the interest rate on credit cards is typically at least 8 or 9%, right? If you take out a loan for a car or a house, if you have decent credit, your rate will be much lower than 8 or 9%. Interest rates vary. Those are current rates. Sometimes credit cards go up and loan rates go up and down. They fluctuate. Okay. These loans are different from credit card debt because the loan is for a fixed amount of time and is paid off in regular installments over a set period of time. The APR in an installment loan is generally lower than it is for a credit card, and the process of paying off a loan by making regular payments is called amortization.
These are all like words that just have negative same body of negative words like death.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's called amortization. Yeah, more is like death, but I think that it's like to the end of the loan till it's finished, like to the end of your life. If it's a student loan, it might be till the end of your life. Yeah. Okay, so this formula looks really intimidating. It's not, right? All we're going to do is plug and chug. We're just going to take the numbers that they give us, plug them in, and do the calculations, okay? So this is the amortization formula. This is how you calculate monthly payments on a loan that has principal P, right? Okay, so M stands for your monthly payment. P stands for the amount of money you're borrowing, right? If you want to borrow $20,000 for a car, right? That's your P. APR, we're going to be little r as a decimal. So little r is just your APR written as a decimal. And T is the number of monthly payments. So if you've ever gone to a car dealership and tried to take out a loan, they don't talk in years, they always talk in months, right? So you would take out a 48-month loan, something like that, which is 4 years. So that's what this T is. The T is the number of months that the loan is over. So T is measured in months. All right, so we'll do an example. What are the main monthly payments on a car loan that's $25,000? So that's our P, that's the amount of money we're borrowing. Our interest rate is 2.99%. That means that little r is going to be 0.0299. And 4 years, that means that capital T is 48, right? Because we're talking months here. So T stands for time, but it's in months. You got to convert it to months. And 25,000, that's your P. Okay. So we're looking for M. We're looking for the monthly payments. And I just plug everything in here. So replace the P with a 25,000 times. And then I have a R over 12, 0.0299 over 12 times 1 plus R over 12, 0.0299 over 12 to the T. Replace T with a 48. And that's all over 1 plus 0.0299 over 12 to the 48 minus 1. Whew. So all I did was I went through this nasty, ugly formula. I replaced the P with 25,000. I replaced all of the R's with 0.0299s and the capital T's with 48s. Now, this is just a messy arithmetic problem. And luckily, we all have calculators that can do arithmetic for us. So all you have to do is remember the order of operations. So I'm just going to do this one step at a time. 25,000 times I'm going to try to simplify my numerator and my denominator a little bit. Just do a little simplification at a time. All right, so I didn't do anything with the 25,000 yet. That's just staying. And I'm going to try to simplify this fraction. No. So wouldn't that be awesome? Why would they even put it in the formula if you could just cross it out every time, right? So the reason you can't is because this parentheses to the 48 has a -1, and you can only cancel things that are separated by multiplication, not things separated by addition or subtraction. Yeah, sorry. All right, so I'm going to do 0.0299 divided by 12. And I think that that's all I'm going to do in this step. I'm just going to replace all my 0.0299s over 12s because there's 3 of them with this number 0.00249. So this is
Oh, I get it.
no, it's 249. Once I did the division, right? I did 0.0299 divided by 12. Each place that I see this 0.0299 divided by 12, I'm going to replace it with a 0.00249. I just calculated what that number is. Right, so I will, yes. Yeah, it is not cooled around. I'm just writing it down. Yeah. So now from here, this is simplified enough that I think I can do the rest of it on my calculator without doing any more steps, right? So I have not cleared this number on purpose because I'm not going to round anything, so I'm going to use this number as it is. So if I'm going to follow the order of operations in this mess, first I'm going to look at this fraction, because whenever you have a fraction, you should simplify the whole top and the whole bottom first. And if I look at the top of this fraction, I should do the exponent first, right? So I have 0.00249. I'm going to add 1 to it, so I get my 1.00249 and raise that to the 48th. So that's 1.1268. Maybe I'll write some more down here. So I've got 25,000 times a fraction, and I have 0.00249 times 1.12687 divided by 1.12687 minus 1. I know it's tedious, but it is not hard, right? It's tedious. Just pay attention to what you're doing, do the order of operations, and you'll get it. I know that you all are capable of doing these calculations. All right, so then I take that number and I have to multiply by the 0.00249 number, which is still up there, so I'm going to copy the whole thing, 166. Oops, too many sixes. 7. Oh, shoot. All right. I'm going to store this number as A. That's necessary. And then I have to do 1 plus that number to the 48th. And I'm going to store that number as B. All right, so now I have to do B times A divided by B minus 1 times 25,000. $553.25. So this is just going to take some practice in following the order of operations and knowing your calculator, okay? So putting the numbers in the right places, so knowing what formula to use, right? And putting the numbers in the right places is going to be worth like all but 1 point, right, on a test. Getting that answer is worth like a point. Okay.
Right, do that. What really matters?
Yeah, knowing what formula to use. So knowing that this is the formula for amortization, right? No, you don't have to memorize the formula. You'll have a sheet with formulas on it. You just have to be able to read this question and know which formula to use. Yeah. All right, so here's another one for you to try, or keep playing with this one until you get the numbers to come out so you can learn your own calculator. I'll come around and help. Oh, thanks.